There was a homeless person sitting right outside of Trump Tower. I remember my father pointing to him and saying, you know, that guy has $8 billion more than me, because he was in such extreme debt at that point, you know?
И все хорошее. И поднимем бокалы.
Vladimir Putin scolding some of his top oligarchs after he took power.
Почему здесь-то забегали все как тараканы перед самым моим? Подписали этот приговор?
Да.
Владимир Владимирович подписал? Что я не вижу уже тут. Идите-ка.
Oleg Deripaska, who's tied with Paul Manafort. Here are some of his other oligarchs. Money laundering occurs, the exchange of money from illegal hands, dirty hands, nefarious sources to legal money. Donald Trump, how money has been laundered through real estate and property transactions. The way he had set up, for example, as Trump Tower building, individuals could purchase the properties by hiding their identities through shell corporations. Russian buyers that he has had over the years, not just in New York, but in Florida, he's got little Moscow over there, and all those properties. Ivana Trump, Donald Trump's first wife, her ties to Czechoslovakia, former Soviet Union intelligence following her and Donald Trump since the 80s. Trump is a loser, filed bankruptcies, losing money, losing other people's money, going under brink after he's been provided everything to him from his father. His father had to bail him out.
The Russians have a particular type of mark whom they go after. They go after somebody who has business resources, shady morals, so that they're amenable to the bribery, perhaps are in a difficult financial situation, or has political connections or aspirations. I've just described Donald Trump. He was the perfect mark for the Russians.
Led Donald Trump to be rescued after he went bust after 2000, after his father had passed away. Lots of Russian money. Even Eric Trump admitted, and Donald Trump Jr. mentioned, the money that they had coming from Russia. Paul Manafort, Trump's campaign manager at the time, having provided internal polling data to a Russian agent, which was passed on to the Kremlin directly, along with his associate Rick Gates. Paul Manafort has a long history supporting thugs and dictators overseas for consulting fees. Manafort with Ukraine, with Putin, with Viktor Yanukovych, the president of Ukraine at the time, who was Putin's lackey. Paul Manafort had helped keep that pro-Russian regime in power in Ukraine. Paul Manafort plays a key role in possible conspiracy, because as we see with collusion, in the this colloquial sense of the word collusion, there's plenty of collusion, including Paul Manafort at the center of it, providing internal polling data, lying to Mueller, going to prison, lying about his contact with the Russian intel agent, and subsequently being pardoned by Trump after being promised to. Especially Deripaska, who recently had his homes raided. He's got a warrant for his arrest as well. Properties purchased at individuals, the Russian buyers, the shell companies. We see Donald Trump's history.
Look at Putin, what he's doing with, I mean, you know, what's going on over there. I mean, this guy has he's doing a great job in rebuilding the image of Russia and also rebuilding Russia, period.
We've just witnessed a flawed Duma election in Russia, including efforts to halt the election monitoring. And Russian voters deserve a full investigation of electoral fraud and manipulation.
Vladimir Putin couldn't stand Hillary Clinton, a strong, intelligent woman speaking up against us, use her as a scapegoat.
She set the tone for some of the activists inside our country, gave them a signal. They heard this signal and started active work with support of the US State Department.
Vladimir Putin took this personally from Hillary Clinton, personal special animosity towards Hillary Clinton.
It's better not to argue with women, but Mrs. Clinton has never been too graceful in her statements. When people push boundaries too far, it's not because they are strong, but because they are weak. But maybe weakness is not the worst quality for a woman.
Money laundering, purchasing properties at inflated prices. At the time, the United States was experiencing a financial crisis for tens of millions of dollars over the value it was worth, in which Donald Trump had purchased just years earlier. He decided to overpay for that particular piece of property. Miss Universe Moscow.
You know, I was in Moscow a couple of months ago. I owned the Miss Universe pageant. And they treated me so great. Putin even sent me a present, beautiful present with a beautiful note.
I don't think that Yanukovych was the pro-Putin person that he's reputed to be.
To see this otherwise rather brazen candidate turn into such a sycophant when the name of Putin ever came up rang a very discordant bell.
Putin has done an amazing job of showing leadership, whether it's a noble cause or not. Let's not discuss that. He is now the world leader. I respect Putin. He's a strong leader, I can tell you that. Unlike what we have a pathetic leader. I think in terms of leadership, he's getting an A. Well, you know, they say it wasn't them. It may have been their weapon, but they didn't use it. They didn't fire it. They even said the other side fired it to blame them. Now Hillary Clinton wants to confront nuclear-armed Russia. That could very well lead us into World War III.
Trump Tower with Donald Trump Jr., Paul Manafort, Jared Kushner, the email that Donald Trump Jr. had received in which he was promised damaging information on Hillary Clinton, that was also set up by the same family that had set up Miss Universe in Moscow in 2013, the Aglarov family, with the pop star's son. So that meeting in which information was promised, addressed as coming from the highest levels of the Russian government, with support of the Russian government for your father, Donald Trump Jr. was very receptive. He wanted to have that information. They set the Trump Tower meeting up with Paul Manafort, the campaign chairman, Jared Kushner, the son-in-law, the Russian government attorney.
Lock her up!
Michael Flynn has betrayed his country in so many ways that most people may have not heard about. His dealings with Turkey, in which he was going to kidnap a U.S. resident and have him sent back to Erdogan, to betraying what we stand for and betraying his oath and military oath and his constitutional oath.
He blurts things out that sound to me as a prosecutor almost like an effort to confess.
Russia, if you're listening, I hope you're able to find the 30,000 emails that are missing.
If you were, in fact, conspiring with Russia and encouraging them to help your campaign and signaling them as to what you wanted them to do,
I think you will probably be rewarded mightily by our press.
There's a pretty good suggestion right there, but in this case made in plain view in open daylight at high noon. It's a little odd.
The role of Cambridge Analytica may have played and did play in the election.
You can nuance your messaging to resonate more effectively with those key audience groups. This information is quite helpful to a campaign manager. We have somewhere close to 4,000 or 5,000 data points on every adult in the United States. We can see where these people are on the map. These are people who are definitely going to vote, but they need moving from the center a little bit more towards the right. We can look at what issue they care about. And now we know that we need a message, it needs to be a persuasion message, and it needs to be nuanced according to the certain personality that we're interested in. That of the two candidates left in this election, one of them is using these technologies, and it's going to be very interesting to see how they impact the next 7 weeks.
Pretty clear you won't admit that the Russians have engaged in cyber attacks against the United States of America, that you encouraged espionage against our people, that you are willing to spout the Putin line, sign up for his wish list, break up NATO, do whatever he wants to do.
During the transition, Jared Kushner met with a sanctioned Russian bank.
Did you really speak to Jared Kushner about in New York when you met him in December?
Jared Kushner had proposed to the Russian ambassador to set up a back channel to the Russian government through either a compound that the Russians use or the Russian embassy to try to avoid U.S. intel, which Michael Flynn had to even shut him down on that. Jared Kushner even mentioning his nefarious connection to the Saudi dictator and the Saudi regime.
I was invited to take my old job as CIA director back. I learned that I would have had to have reported to the president through Mike Flynn. They pressed me to go to a particular meeting where there were several Turks present, and it was clear they were thinking seriously about taking into custody a Gulen in western Pennsylvania, which would have been completely illegal under American law. I told them that and left. I decided I did not want to report through Mike, and so I turned down the offer.